Cincinnati, Alabama, tomorrow night, 13.5, 57. It's a fun one. I screamed all year. Maybe that's why I lost my voice. I screamed all year about how Cincinnati should not be in there. They don't deserve it. They don't be in the Final Four. They're just going to get housed by Alabama or Georgia, whoever they play. And believe me, I'm going to have Alabama on every single money line parlay imaginable, but I am taking Cincinnati plus the 13.5. The question becomes which facets of that SEC championship game are going to repeat, right? So I think you move backwards from there. Harry, are you okay? Oh, crap. Harry's got a little vomit fest
I haven't coughed all morning.
Guys, we got to make it to the finish line here. What's going on?
This could be the last show, guys.
I'll go to you last. Yeah, you could leave maybe for 20 seconds if you want to take care of that. I'm going backwards. I'm looking at that SEC championship game, and obviously, if Alabama keeps the faucet turned on like they had in that game, they're going to roll. Cincinnati won't have a chance, and obviously, Georgia won't have a chance against Michigan, or at least won't cover if that's the case. I think that's tough to replicate. Cincinnati played Georgia tough for most of that bowl game last year in that Peach Bowl where all the quarterbacks played. I agree the Heisman jinx is no longer a thing. Bryce Young should be able to throw eventually against the Bearcats. He paced the SEC with 12 plays of 50-plus yards. Mechie tore his ACL late in the second quarter of that SEC title game. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. He had 96 receptions. But I think Saban if it's going to be a close game, Saban will have this team ready. You got Jerome Ford, the Alabama transfer, is going to lead the way for Cincinnati. Maybe a little payback there. But opposing teams have struggled to find any running room against Alabama. Just 82 yards. Eventually, too much speed, too much, it's going to be a difference that they have an advantage at every skill position. And I like this being 32-20. Desmond Ridder, backdoor touchdown pass or run. They cover, but 32-20. Parlay Kid, you like Alabama in a rout.
Route might not be the right word here, Sal, for what I think. I like Alabama to cover here.
Oh, okay.
But I think this game is going to be close for a good part of the game before, like you just said, where Alabama's supreme talent eventually wears the Bearcats down and catapults them to, a double-figure win, close to 20 points, I believe. But I think this game is tough. Cincinnati, look, I have a buddy who's a real college football guru.
Oh.
I've consulted him, and he's normally right on every call. He thinks that Alabama is much more talented at every position except possibly defensive back compared to the Bearcats. They just have more overall team speed. And listen, here's what you have to figure out too is Cincinnati, they are playing for, right? They're playing. There's a lot riding on this for Cincinnati in terms of for every other, I'm not going to say mid-major football program, but every other one that's not in a power conference. They're really playing for all these teams to show that they can handle it. And I think they will handle it for a half or so. But eventually, Alabama wears them down. Saban will have a nice game plan ready. I think the loss of Mechie does hurt, as you mentioned, Sal. It does hurt. But eventually, my guess is Alabama's got their fourth receiver is almost as good as Mechie. He just needs to play type of thing. Right. And they've been able to practice now with these guys and get them prepared. They're better than the Bearcats. Bearcats hang tough. I'm rooting for them. I'd love to see a great game here. But I think Alabama pulls away late.
It'd be fun to have a close game. I am looking at this. Alabama's a favorite of 11-15 the last 18 games. 18-0, 13-5 against the spread. Average margin of victory 22. So lots of pro Alabama trends. The last 10 college football playoff games, 8-2, +8 turnover differential. Saban hasn't prepared. Always with time to prepare. 22-3, 16-9 against the spread. It goes on and on. And on, you mentioned those D-backs. I talked about it yesterday on Extra Points. The names, the cornerbacks, all-American corners for Cincinnati. Ahmad Sauce Gardner. I love that name. And Kobe Bryant, C-O-B-Y, Kobe Bryant. So that's a fun one. Sauce was named so for his affinity for Wendy's, including heaping helpings of the chain's creamy sriracha sauce. So that's important to know going into the game. No trends indication either way for that. All right, Harry, you've been clearing your throat. You've been mumbling. You're touching your face a lot. It's going to be an audio disaster for Mikey Meatballs, but go ahead. Who do you like in this game?
I'm on Cincinnati, and I even like a little bit maybe on the money line. Bama was great against Georgia, but in un-Alabama-like fashion, a lot of times this year, a lot of close games that they shouldn't have had. They beat LSU, Arkansas, and Auburn by a combined 15 points. There were 3 touchdown favorites in all those games. Bama, you guys mentioned not playing out this game with 96 receptions. Their leading receiver, obviously, in Cincinnati, first in college football, first in defending passes of 20 yards or more. Sal, you mentioned Jerome Ford, 20 total touchdowns. And look, 115 for Ryder's career, 115 total touchdowns in his illustrious career. He can get it done. And if people want 8 teams in the playoffs, if people want 8 teams or 12 teams, you got to be rooting for Cincinnati to keep it close here. Teams are people are just going to say they don't belong, and they're going to have it at 4 again. So let's have Cincinnati cover the 13.5 and money line plus 410 on FanDuel.
Brian, what are you laughing at? Aside from the part that Harry is just completely falling apart here. I mean, we have another podcast to do after this. We have like 13 games to cover. All right.
I'm all
Desmond
right.
Ritter. I will say Cincinnati's defense, first in takeaways, second in opposing passing yards per game, third in opposing passing yards per play. This is nationwide. So yes, that defense is going to, I think we kind of all see it the same way. Definitely at least close for the first half. Brian, you found the player prop here.
Yeah, I like Ritter anytime touchdown plus 220. Yeah, I see what you're saying. The thing that would concern me in this game, and I would lean towards Bama in this one, is just like when you give Saban this amount of time, right? I mean, we've seen this in the past, right? First game of the season, he always dominates. This game, they always seem to, this first playoff game, they always seem to play, well. So that would give me a little bit of issue with taking Cincinnati here. But yeah, I like Ritter though, plus 220 to score, or like Harry likes to call him Ryder. But one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the country. He hasn't run as much this year, but still has 6 rushing touchdowns on the season. He had 12 rushing touchdowns last year. This Bama defense isn't necessarily the same that we've seen in years past. I think you can put up some points. I don't think Cincinnati's going to go out there and score a ton, but I think they'll score enough. And I think Ritter's going to have to make some big plays with his legs in order to keep this somewhat close. So I think plus 220 though is a nice
Not
value
bad.
there. Yeah.
Not bad. All right, baby.
Go ahead. I wish there were more props. Right now, right? There's just not enough props.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing this a little fairly early. Had we done this tomorrow, FanDuel would probably have a bunch of props up, but we laid out the best how we think this game is going to go. Babyface Joel Solomon, what are your thoughts about that first game, the way we broke it down?
I mean, Harry's getting very choked up about Cincinnati being in, or he was yelling at Iowa State.
They belong. They belong, Joel.
They belong. All right.
Someone check his larynx.
And you belong in an emergency room. All right, let's check it out. The second game, Michigan, Georgia. Georgia 7.5 point favorite, 45.5 is the over under. Again, I'm going to work backwards from the SEC championship. I don't think Georgia's defense, I think it's more like we saw for the first 13 weeks of the season and not like Alabama when they threw the kitchen sink at them in a game they absolutely had to win. And now we got 2 SEC teams in there. Auburn this year, this is against ranked opponents. They gave up, Georgia gave up 10 to Auburn. They gave up 3 to Clemson. Shut out Bumper Pools, Razorbacks. These are good teams. Kentucky, the ranked team, they give up 13 to them. They shut out their rival Georgia Tech, nothing. Michigan ranked 67th in pass offense, and McNamara only an 8 yards per attempt. I think Cade McNamara is going to have to do something. He's going to have to come up with the 3 or 4 big plays to propel this offense because I think they're going to play from behind. We know Georgia spreads out the running back duties. White is 718 yards, 10 touchdowns. Cook 618, 7 touchdowns. The speed, I think, is going to be the difference. And defensively, Haskins is going to get bottled up for the most part. This Georgia team allows 81 rushing yards per game. They're 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 bowl games, 5-2 against the number in their last 7 non-conference games. Kirby Smart's team gets the win 29-17. I just think, I think eventually history catch up to Harbaugh. Last 4 bowl games, 0-4 against the spread. And we're going to see a Georgia win. Harry, you're going against me here. You like Michigan, and not only Michigan, the money line.
I do. I think Georgia, excuse me,
got exposed a little bit. Yeah.
Got exposed a little bit defensively against Bama, and that's a championship game. I think Michigan's going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. I think they're actually pissed. I think they deserve to be the number 1 seed, Michigan does, considering what they did down the stretch, how they looked. I think this is Harbaugh's time. 4 of the last 5 games, this defense led by Aiden Hutchinson, Heisman runner-up. 4 of the last 5 games held opponents to under 20, and that only one that was Ohio State that scored 27. They shouldn't even have got that. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. Sam Haskins and Blake Corum, 2,200 yards, 31 touchdowns on the ground. I think they get it done here. I think they win the game. If Bennett wasn't that good, it was actually pretty bad in the SEC championship game against Bama. I'm taking Michigan money line. They move on to the finals. Remember, I got the 80-1 ticket on the Wolverines.
Oh, that's right. Harry's got 80-1. Well, wait, what do you mean by ticket? Was it that thing that we did, that draft we did?
No, I got, and my bet, one of my betting sites.
You're already backtracking. So what is that? Like $4?
He wins $80. He wins
triple the $4.
Right.
Why does everything have to be in code? $12 at 80-1. All right. That's a huge poll for Harry. All right. Everyone's against me here, actually. Parlay Kid, you like Michigan also.
Yeah, Sal. I just think the 7.5 is too much in this game for a team like Georgia, where I think Michigan's defense can bottle them up. That being said, I do like Haskins. Harry did mention Haskins, the running back from Michigan. I do like him at -120 for an anytime touchdown as well. I'm not sure if we see Michigan win this game, because I think some of this SEC talent just overall eventually just does these type of teams in. But Michigan, the players, I've seen them in interviews, they say all the right things. They seem like they have great team chemistry. Really, since the very beginning of the year, this team seems to be really playing for something. Harbaugh has been a much maligned coach over the last few years, but the guy's a great coach. He's always been a great coach. And this year, his team has put it together. They really love him up there. The players do. I think they're going to be playing hard for him. This game means a lot to Michigan and their fans and their school. Michigan's defensive front, as we know, is very good. These teams are very similar, Sal, right? The quarterbacks are similar. Bennett might be a little bit better than McNamara, but McNamara can make some plays as well. But neither of them have big, strong arms. They're more game managers, I believe. Right. Both teams like to pound the ball. It really is going to come down to who turns it over here in this game. Whoever wins the turnover battle, to me, is winning this game. So I think the 7.5 is just a little too much. So let's take Michigan here. If this was 6.5, I might be going the other way. But at 7.5, I'm riding with Michigan.
Well, you mentioned the SEC teams and how they have more speed, and just position by position, they seem to have the advantage almost every time. In the semifinals, in the CFP semifinals since 2015, SEC teams 7-0. They average 40 points a game, turnover differential +8, and 6 of the 7 wins came by 10 or more points. But that's not scaring you, Brother Bry. You are also taking Michigan.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. But you're right, Sal. I mean, it's like, Georgia went up, 10-0 in that Alabama game. If that happens against Michigan, then Michigan's in trouble. They're in trouble if they go down, 2 scores early. But my thing here is, in big games, I think it's hard to back Stetson Bennett as a 7.5 point favorite. These teams are very comparable. They're physical teams. Michigan's offensive line was dominant against Ohio State. They probably have the two best defensive ends. So defensively, they can be dominant at times. I think this is this should be a lower scoring. This should be a lower scoring game. Not saying this is like a Georgia Clemson game that was 10-3, but similar type of game. And I think it's kept within the 7 points, though. I just don't think Georgia's offense is going to necessarily put up 30 plus in this game.
This will make you happy, Brian. Georgia versus top 5 teams last 6 games, 1-5, -64 point differential, -6 turnover differential. But
and look at the Parlay Kid. Right. The Parlay Kid's dressed in maize and blue right now.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It does.
That is true. Sal,
Wow.
real funny, on a funny side note,
Yeah.
Harry texts brother Brian and I last night and says, hey guys, I'm 3 games away from hitting a plus, what was
Parlay
it?
pays $2,700.
Pays $2,700. I'm 3 games away. So I text back, well, what 3 games do you need? Cincy, Michigan,
Money lines?
Kentucky.
Money lines.
Money line. I mean,
I guess
it's
we
like-
could all make
Listen,
that parlay
laugh.
and be three
Go ahead,
games
laugh.
away. Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
laugh.
mean-
And then on Saturday morning when I need Kentucky money line for
No,
$2,700 and I hedge the other way and win both.
It's like
Cincy,
Making
Iowa,
meatballs.
what are
Mark
they?
this down when this
Cincy,
happens. Mark this
Kentucky,
down.
and Michigan.
Please mark it down. Cincy, Kentucky, and Michigan. All right. So what do you think you can get that for right now?
I mean, it's got
Mm.
brother
I mean,
Bry's better at this.
It's 36 to 1 odds. It's
Yeah.
36 to 1 right now.
The first 5 are in. The first 5 are in.
So,
It's 36
Harry,
to 1.
so Harry must have $10 on this parlay, right?
Oh, no way. No way.
6.
10.
6.
$6. Okay.
$6.
Come on. Don't be silly. But take that back, Paul. You're better than that.
Parlay, come on.